So the Wemo Stage Scene Controller finally got its thread update, which means we finally have a thread button in HomeKit, but this is not the thread button I wanted. This one's probably gonna piss some people off. Meh, whatever, let's get into it. Greetings Internet, I'm Dustin with my HomeKit Home, and here we look at the smart home with an Apple HomeKit and accessibility focus. So buttons are an absolutely indispensable part of my HomeKit home. I use them for everything from controlling smart lights in lieu of a wired switch, to controlling smart shades, to setting scenes, and the list goes on. There are a number of things that I look for in a smart button, like speed and reliability, control options, and design aesthetic. With these in mind, today we'll be looking at the Wemo Stage Scene Controller. Now there's been a lot of buzz about this HomeKit button, mainly for its thread connectivity, but is it really worth the $50 price point? As always, if you're interested in getting yourself one of these, you'll find affiliate links in the description box just below that like button. So let's press on and see what we get inside the box. Alright, let's break this thing down. The Wemo Stage Scene Controller is a 3-button wireless stateless programmable switch which can be detached from its wall plate and used as a remote control or installed alongside traditional Decora style switches. Each of the 3 buttons can be programmed with single, double, and long press actions to control scenes, but also individual accessories as well. It's worth noting that the Wemo Stage is a HomeKit exclusive device, and it also has Thread on board, but you can use Bluetooth if Thread's not your bag. Other than that, it is a pretty straightforward device, but you might want to keep in mind that it does use a user replaceable CR2032 battery. Now the Wemo Stage is a fairly unique accessory in that it's not only a HomeKit exclusive accessory, but you can't even set it up in Wemo's own app. So it's onto Apple's Home app to set it up. Now if you're some sort of caveman, you'll jump into Apple's Home app, you'll tap the plus button, you'll tap Add Accessory and scan the QR code. Or you can be like the cool kids and use NFC pairing by bringing your phone close to the device. Either way, the HomeKit setup process is exactly the same after that. You'll put it in a HomeKit home, you'll put it in a room, you'll give it a name, and Bob's your uncle. Well, since we're already here, let's go ahead and see what we can do with the Wemo Stage in Apple's Home app. Now once you have it set up, you can of course edit the name of the device, you can put it in a different room, you can include it in your favorites, and you can see the battery level. Now as we mentioned a moment ago, the Wemo Stage has 3 physical buttons, all of which have 3 different actions: a single press, a double press, and a long press. And those can be used to assign different accessory actions or scenes to. So that means you can assign up to 9 different actions to the Wemo Stage. Now you can of course get fancy and use conditions in a third-party app to expand this. However, bear in mind that most of these apps do require you to set up a scene for all of their actions, so you might quickly run into the 100 scene limit in HomeKit. I find that from an everyday use perspective, simplicity reigns supreme with the Wemo Stage. There's nothing smart about having to cycle through the different scenes and actions of the different buttons on the remote because you can't remember what was programmed, even if it is blazing fast at doing so. Speaking of which, we should probably talk about the reason why you probably clicked on this video. Thread. Up until very recently, the Stage Scene Controller was Bluetooth only, but Wemo did start pushing out a firmware update in January of 2022 that brought Thread connectivity. Now unfortunately, there's no way to really push this firmware update, so you'll have to wait your turn, but once your number is up, you should see the notification arrive in Apple's Home app. Then you just tap Update, it takes a few moments, and what you're looking for is the firmware version 2.6.9. Now of course, in order to take advantage of Thread connectivity, you will need a Thread border router like the HomePod Mini, but once you do, it should be automatically added to your network, and you can confirm this in the E for HomeKit app. As you can see, the Wemo Stage is a sleepy endpoint device, which means that it doesn't help to move communications from one device to another, but rather it just communicates with its router. I actually started my testing of the Wemo Stage before I got the Thread update, and I have to say that just like all other Bluetooth HomeKit buttons, it was a total drag, literally. But thanks to Thread, that has all been resolved. Now in my testing, I did find the Wemo Stage to be extremely responsive over Thread, but latency did vary depending on the type of device being used. Simon did a great job of demonstrating just how fast response times were depending on the other devices being controlled, so I'll link to his video, but suffice it to say that your best bet is Thread to Thread. Now we come to the part of the review that some people might not agree with, but I'll just be frank and say that I do not like the design of the Wemo Stage. The included wall plate is enormous and looks gaudy alongside other smart switches or even alongside any standard switches. This being said, you can pop out part of the wall plate and use it alongside any Decora style switches that you may have. But if you don't have Decora style switches, you're SOL. Not entirely unlike other smart buttons on the market, but oddly more so, the Wemo Stage does feel pretty light for its size, and its small form factor does make it feel a little bit awkward in the hand when using it as a remote control. Also, the magnets that are used to hold the Wemo Stage to its holster are pretty weak. On more than one occasion, I'd walk by slightly brushing the Wemo Stage, knocking it off its perch. And this is not the case for other similar smart buttons that I've tested. Now, I understand I'm a bit of a clod, but some stronger magnets would have gone a long way here. In terms of accessibility, the Wemo Stage is, well, okay. Each of the three buttons does have indentions to make them more easily identifiable, but I really would have liked to have had more clickier, more audible buttons, and having the ability to control the press speed would be a definite plus, but all in all, the Wemo Stage is pretty good. On the software side of things, since there is no manufacturer's app to speak of, the experience is pretty sweet since VoiceOver is baked into all of Apple's operating systems, and this means superb functionality for their home app. Now, if you're interested in knowing just how blind-friendly the Wemo Stage scene controller is, head over to the blog over at myhomekithome.com. We finally have a Thread controller, and it's from someone other than Eve and Nanoleaf, and this dissemination goes a long way to giving me hope for the future of Thread as a smart home protocol. I'm also very happy to see that Wemo kept their word and brought Thread support to the Wemo Stage. As I mentioned, I'm not the biggest fan of the design of the Wemo Stage, but this is a fairly small caveat when looking at the device as a whole. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention the price, which is sitting right around $50 in the US as of the time of this recording, so it's not the most affordable HomeKit button, but it is the only one that currently supports Thread. Given its quantity and flexibility in control and its speed and reliability, the Wemo Stage is a great option if you're all in on Thread. If not, you might want to consider a different HomeKit button option like the Acura wireless mini switch. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching till the end, and we'll catch you in the next one.